Hi guys, welcome back to TomTalks. Today we are going to be reviewing the 8th studio album, which is also a Mercury Prize nominee, from Pulp, More. And this was kind of a big deal when this came out. It was Pulp's first album in 24 years and also the first album since the passing of their bass guitarist Steve Mackey, who does have credits on this record. But yeah, this album is a long time coming for Pulp. I mean, they were one of the biggest Britpop bands of the 90s. They have 3 previous nominations, including in 1996 when they won the Mercury Prize for Different Class. Jarvis Cocker, of course, pretty prominent frontman. He has continued to release music, whether on his own or doing guest appearances or with other projects. But people have been waiting for a new Pulp album for quite a while. And now it's here. And it got to #1 in the charts, unsurprisingly. Also produced by James Ford, which is quite a big deal. He's produced past Mercury nominees and winners from Arctic Monkeys, Florence and the Machine, Jessie Ware, The Last Dinner Party, Beth Gibbons, even was the producer on another one of this year's nominees, Fontaine's DC's Romance. And he's also worked with Haim, with Gorillaz, Blur, produced the new Black Country New Road record, Forever How Long. So Mr. Ford knows how to make a Mercury nominee, and he's certainly done that here. And this album overall is, to me at least, Jarvis Cocker's sort of reflection on the ending of his relationship with his first wife, Camille Ladout Waddington. It feels very much on the process of going through that and coming to acceptance and coming out of the tunnel afresh. In that respect, it reminds me a bit of the themes of Blur's last record, The Ballad of Darren. Again, another middle-aged guy going through the ending of a long-term relationship and coming to terms with that and finding through life and through working with the band again something afresh. But let's get into the tracks. We start off with Spike Island, which very much feels like the lead single that it was. It's got this very bouncy, summery sound with these 80s sounding synths on there. Really enjoyed the riffs on here. And on the chorus, they get really heavy, which matches Jarvis Cocker's very passionate delivery there. And Cocker is how you expect. He's direct. He's got this very kooky delivery that makes him stand out from a lot of singers of that Britpop era and still today. And he still sounds pretty good for the most part. He is reflecting on taking time away from the music scene and battling depression, reflecting on the band splitting up. This is like the very much the opener, but also the most close to the time track in terms of what is being written about. It's basically saying, I've been through some stuff, you know, I've took my time here. Here is the album. And from this record onwards, he will go on to explain. Then get Tina, which is basically him saying he saw this person who he had feelings for and had a lot of affection for, but never actually spoke to them. It's kind of laying the foundations for the relationship that he's in sort of coming apart. It's a lot more mellow and whimsical, the sound of it. I do love the storytelling here and on a lot of tracks on the record. I think Jarvis Cocker is a very good songwriter, and obviously the other people who work on this record are good songwriters as well. But I think he has this ability to sort of hook you with his lyricism and his storytelling ability. I also love the use of strings and the bass here. It really creates this like atmosphere. The echoey background vocals I think are really nice, and they're used on a few tracks here, but I think they're used very well here. And the violins or viola, which are probably used on the record, are really nice here. But it's a really nice track to sort of start this story and make you realise why Jarvis is going through the motions. Then get Grown Up. It's this very indie rock-esque sound with the riffs and the violins. It's got a bit of a Britpop. It's the most Britpoppy sounding track here. And it's basically him talking about like growing up and how he met this person and they sort of formed a relationship when they were young and tried to act grown up, but then uses this metaphor of they wanted to get on a rocket to a new planet, but once they got to the new planet, they realised the people where they'd come from before are having fun, but they have no memories of that. It's talking about growing up and growing up with someone else and how you thought growing up was going to be this great thing, but actually there is some issues there. Again, some really good storytelling. He strains his vocals on the chorus a bit here, which I wasn't particularly too keen on. But overall, I like this track. I think it's got some good themes, some good storytelling. I really like the scratchy guitar as well, and I like the sound of it. The jam, which is a bit more acoustic-y. The viola is a lot more prominent. It's a bit more calmer in its sound. And you're starting to see here Cocker falling out of love. He delivers it in this very melancholic but calm sort of way, using religious metaphors like the death of Jesus and the resurrection, saying we need to talk about that crucifixion that just happened last night. And he brings a lot of passion here. The choir is greatly used. I love the wavy synths here. And you can really feel the pain and the upset he feels for the fact that this isn't working out, and he is starting to realise that maybe it's time for a change. We then get Farmer's Market, which is a bit more mellow, a bit more tranquil, thanks to the viola. The drums here are a bit more prominent, and there's the piano. It's talking about like the relationship he's pushing on, despite its inevitable downfall. It's very poetic here, talking about like, you know, going to the farmer's market and realising it's more important to get to know this person than just do shopping groceries with them. and he's kind of coming to the acceptance that they're going to have to move on, that they've kept this going on a bit too long, and it gets very melancholic at the end. And I think it progresses the album well. It continues the themes here. It's another good song, My Sex, which is a bit more upbeat, a bit more of like a 70s, 80s era Clash sound to it. He's kind of talking about having sex, how it's quite mythical, but also very unique to him, and that he's running out of time, maybe talking about him aging and his ability to have children, maybe. He also says his sex has no gender, which has kind of led some people to question whether Jarvis Cocker is agender maybe, or gender neutral. Can't confirm that obviously, but it's an interesting thought. And there's some really nice guitar riffs here. The echoey background vocals provide this eeriness as well. I think it's a very interesting track. It's quite kooky. The sex noises at the end for a middle-aged man, it's a bit odd, but it does kind of take away from the sort of dreariness and the misery of a lot of the content here, and it's a bit of a change of pace that gives you something that fits in but doesn't detract from the record. Got to Have Love, which is him basically saying that he never used the word love, and him having a chat with himself and basically saying like, yeah, I need love. Love is important. Love is important to life. And he gives this very passionate delivery on the chorus. He also has the line here, without love, you're just jerking off inside someone else, which that's a way to put having loveless sex, I suppose. But kind of reflects on needing love to carry on and having not made an album in all that time. Gives this very poetic delivery as the guitar riffs come in at the end, and it creates this really euphoric moment that ends the track nicely. And at this point, you can see he is accepting. He's realising that this relationship or marriage is not working out. He needs more from life. He needs passion. He needs love. And he's looks like he's ready to move on. Background noise, and I really like the distortion of the blaring sirens here. Nice contrast to the more tranquil piano and the drum pattern here. He's obviously in a state of disarray because he's thinking about being single again, but he's not quite sure whether he's ready to make that step. It's a very ballady and passionate delivery, particularly on the chorus. Love has become a background noise. And, the violins at the end are really nice. They're a really nice touch to this track. And, again, we're now in the stage of acceptance and the stage where Jarvis has just got to go for it and just say, it's time to move on. Let's go. We then get partial eclipse, which is he's seeing a little bit of light in this relationship, but there's not much left there. He's, again, coming to the conclusion that things need to move on here. The melancholic violins, I've got to say, are really beautiful, and they add to sort of the sadness and upset of this realisation. There's also this kind of like Spanish guitar as well. That is a nice touch. And at the end, there's this very eerie but quiet instrumental passage and it kind of reflects on the mood and the realisation that, yeah, there's not much light left. Let's finish it now while there's still something there. But yeah, good storytelling, good metaphor, good track. Of the North, which features Shelly Gonzalez, who gives some great pianism here. Really good on the piano front. Again, the relationship has reached its conclusion. He talks about that there's a future past this moment, and he still wants this person to do well. He wants them to stay in touch, but not in the current state of things. And the riffs here are really pleasant. I like the airy synths and the strings. It really adds to the more passionate delivery. And in the second half, it's got this more alt rock sound from the riffs, and it changes it up, and it sort of gives it a bit more of an atmosphere. The violins also come in as well, and it creates this like atmosphere and this not necessarily upbeat, but there's a bit more of a change in emotion on the second half of the track. And yeah, it's a nice track, and it's, the conclusion has been met. And we then get a sunset, which Brian Eno is on this track as well. There's a lot of the other Enos here, but it's basically like Jarvis sees the sun setting on this relationship, but it's not to be down about, because the sun will rise again in the morning. A new day, a new time in life. I really like the choir on the chorus here. They sound great. The very plucky banjo sounds and the airy violin. It's very quiet in its sound. It focuses on the words and the vocals of Cocker here. And yeah, it's a really good closer, and it's a nice way to end the album, and it's a fitting way to end the album. All by Pulp is a very good album, I've got to say. In terms of things that I'm not keen on, there's vocal moments where Jarvis isn't sounding amazing. I think instrumentally, I'd like a bit more variety going on there. But I think as a concept album about his relationship falling apart, I think it's done really well. I think it flows very well. There's a lot of passion in there. I think the choice of instruments and the choir is really good. And it's a nice album that doesn't feel like it goes on too long. It feels perfectly paced. And I do enjoy this album quite a bit, even more so than the Blur album, The Ballad of Darren, I've got to say. Overall, I'd give this probably an 8 out of 10. I think it's a very good comeback from Pulp, and I just like the theme and the passion and the storytelling here. And yeah, I think this was a very good record. I do enjoy it quite a bit. Is it one of my favourites on the list? No, but it definitely warrants its place here. So that's my thoughts on More by Pulp. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is this one of your favourite albums on the list? Do you think this was a great comeback for Pulp? Let me know. If you disagree with me, also let me know. I'm always interested to see other people's opinions. Give the video a like, give it a share if you want to show other people. Subscribe if you want more music reviews. We've got more Mercury Prize reviews to come, so stay tuned. And until next time, folks, this has been another Tom Talks.